Hey, it ain't no telling what this album gonna sound like. Look, Danny Brown's one of the most dynamic and boundary-pushing artists we got in the game right now. He has a discography with no two projects from him sound the same. He got one of my favorite skill sets in the game, starting with one of the best deliveries, and then his wit and humor lead to some of the most over-the-top outlandish punches. Then he got some of the most unique flows. The pockets he finds on some songs, you just hear him and go, yeah, I was definitely inspired by heavy drug use. And speaking of, dude deserved like a Medal of Honor or a Purple Heart, because over the course of his career, he's fought on every single front of the war on drugs. He started his career in like the hybrid era. He was selling drugs. Then he started doing them on XXX. Then Atrocity Exhibition was like a 12-round heavyweight bout with addiction. He's getting clean though, so this project might be all Dare program bars. I mean, anybody can pull it off is him. But yeah, he's having a crazy 2013. The Scaring the Hoes project with JPEG Mafia is arguably album of the year. Top 3 project of the year at worst. The deluxe of that album was sick too. And then he's had one of my favorite 1 or 2 features of the year on Billy Woods' Year Zero. Let's see if he can keep it rolling. It's very polite of him to tell me how to pronounce this album. Bro got the quinceañera type beat going on.
This rap shit done saved my life and fucked it up at the same time. Got pain in my heart, I can't hide. A lot of trauma inside, you can see it in my eyes.
Oh, I like how he starts so mellowed out. He normally has a really over-the-top delivery. This album probably gonna have a real serious direction to it.
This time on my side, show must go on. By the ticket, take the ride. From hardships, which change perceptions, a blessing.
He sounds so
A lot changed since XXX came out. Bought a few cars in the house. Almost had a spouse, got caught up, she was out. Now I'm sitting there questioning what life is about. Can you nigga, you 40 still doing this shit? When you gon' stop, but God gon' make you quit.
Hey, that's a real tone setting opener. It's crazy that a song this mellow in tone is a huge switch up for him. Compare this with the intro to really any of his albums. I mean, at any point in his career, on the last album with Downward Spiral, or all the way back to Hybrid with Greatest Rapper Ever, with how much energy he was rapping with on that one. For him to sound this reflective is pretty dope. And I have to say reflective and not vulnerable, because there's plenty of points in Danny Brown's career where he's been vulnerable and we've really seen ugly sides of him. But we've only had glimpses of this level of reflection, and I liked it. Out of all the lines on here though, the one that stood out to me the most was on this like chorus where he says, "You gonna stop or God made you quit," which I think was an obvious allusion to his mortality and probably drug overdosing. I like the beat. It was laid back too, but the Latin influenced strings is something that we don't really get a lot in hip hop, so it still sounded unique even though it wasn't super experimental like what we've heard on Scaring the Hoes or Atrocity Exhibition. And then I like how the keys mellow everything out too. So not the most explosive track, but it really pushes forward the concept of the song. This is Tantor. I'm trying to know about that dialogue. Drum pattern, crazy. It doesn't even have a typical drum pattern. It's just a run.
Go away, like go Thames, nigga, this above the rap. When Birdie with the blade out, nigga, time to fade out. Yeah.
Birdie was Pot, right? Yo, why was Pot tripping on every movie he was in? This man ain't had no couth in any role he had.
Better stay down, Greyhound my playground. Got a Mexican homie named Chinese Mike, and the old black Cuddy, and he got that right. If you ain't got that green, then he might see red. Put a knot on your head, then we might see dread. Straight
That's so fire. That's so fire. A Mexican homie named Chinese Mike. I think that could be wordplay saying he had China White, which is slang for fentanyl. But I like the black. If he ain't had the green, you might see red, all black Cuddy. I like that word association with all the colors. And then he took the dread line, which he was talking about somebody getting a headshot, to the line where he was describing the white girl with her hair. I like that writing.
Jumping in like Black Jane and scrape his head against the dagger board. I slide world with vocal cords deeper than the ocean floor. Now Norwich rappers say eating like me. So if I don't win, and you an absentee. This that Black Lives Matter, still sniff cocaine. Paid for a therapist, but I still ain't changed. This that Black Lives Matter, still sniff cocaine.
I like that Black Lives Matter line, and the pay for a therapist won't change line is ignorant.
Okay, so you touch that water, hide to eat, son. We doctored in that long time.
When I saw Danny Brown had a track produced by Alchemist, this is not what I expected, dog. I like it, man. One of the best things about Alchemist is he's really good at catering his style to whoever he's collaborating with. This one, Danny Brown is perfectly fine on your typical hip hop beats, but he's so much more interesting when he's pushing the boundaries of rap. While this beat wasn't anything off the wall, one, those drums have no business working with a rap song. Instead of a typical drum loop, he had the runs from a rock song being looped as the drums. That's not regular, and I thought the horn part of the sample was good too. The rapping was cool from Danny Brown. I think my favorite part of the song was when he got into that color scheme with the Mexican homie named Chinese Mike. Then he got in all the different colors. Those were easily the best bars of the song. He had his more signature, energetic delivery, but I don't think it was anything crazy that we haven't heard from him before. As far as flows, I do like the flows that he got into on that second verse, and he did a little bit of punching in there, but it just wasn't any standout punches in my opinion. I did think that Black Lives Matter therapist line was funny though. After that opener on the title track, this was more of a, yeah, I'm still on my BS type track. It's a good track. This ain't my concern.
Like a moth in the flame, when you burn, you learn. Rush to mistakes, but just wait your turn. Get what you need, what you want, you earn. When it's time, then it's time, but that ain't my concern. Like
this beat sound like an experimental lullaby.
This rap shit a layup. I'm going for a dunk. Going big like bitches' panties during that time of the month. If it's an easy way to get it, tell me where to sign up. Ain't no short.
Hey, that's crazy. We all done experienced it. That's a wild line.
Back in the day, they sold it for rock and roll. But with this rap shit, a nigga sell his booty hole. What you doing over there? We doing this over here. My aunt died, was on tour, couldn't shed no tears.
P. Diddy subliminal disses incoming.
Shit getting out of hand, tell me when will it stop? This little pink pill tasting like it got sugar in it. Don't so much coke, it's like a gram on my booger, nigga. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, nigga. Better wake up. It's a million ways to get it. Better make them pay up. Don't stay
The gram on my booger line is grimy.
Looked in the mirror, started staring at myself. Took myself on to get it. Fuck everything else. Like a moth in the flame, when you burn, you learn. Rush to mistakes, but just wait your turn.
Hey, it's real ironic that Danny Brown rapping over accessible beats is such a big switch up for him. I came in with no expectations. I felt like I heard it all from Danny Brown. So I can see someone coming in here listening to Atrocity Exhibition or Scaring the Host thinking that we were going to get really in-your-face experimentation and more of an industrial sound. That's not what we're getting here, but the songs production-wise have still been really unique. They're just taking a variety of sounds that you don't typically hear on rap albums, but they have a subtlety to it that doesn't hit you in the face the same way those last two albums that I mentioned do. But that said, this beat was pretty sick to me. I think this is the best beat on the album so far. The beat just had layers on layers, but you can really break it up between this part of the beat that had the marching band pace to it and marching band drums, and then you layer the spacey ethereal keys over the top of it, and then you had this really subtle stab in there that shouldn't have fit with nothing. Super interesting beat. It looks like he's going to separate this album out from the more reflective tracks having this lower register, less expressive delivery to it. I don't like as much as I like his delivery on, say, his first verse on Tantor, but I do think it works. The rapping didn't blow me away as far as flows, but he had some punches in here. Going big like with chicks panties when they're on their period line. That line is ridiculous. The rappers used to sell their soul line. The soul had a serious undertone to it, but he didn't leave the humor out of it. So I'm rocking with this song. This is probably my favorite out of the first three. This is Dark Sword Angel. I like Quelle Chris's production style. Got like wind chimes in the back.
We doing this even without a record deal. Half the shit I say can be understood by executive. I'm from that crack right.
So this is the exact same sample that Alchemist used on the song Red Death off West Side Gun's 10. Those extra like chimes and then the different drum pattern gives it a different vibe, but it sounds really similar.
I'm from that crack right. Find your drama where it rain. So what the fuck they gon' tell me about anything? Strap up, nigga, get your boots on tight. I'm from back when Snoop, Luca, Frisco, Dyke made moves and went left and you went right. Niggas wanna be.
I don't like the mixing on here. It sounds like Danny Brown rapping from the next room over. It's like he started rapping and had to walk off and the engineer was like, nah, keep going, we can still hear you. But that said, these bars been gritty. The crack rock made dudes putting their grandma wedding ring. I'm rock with it.
From my family sit inside, you'll be all male nerves.
Nah, that's crazy.
My rap's like Tetris, birds keep falling, gotta know where to place them. Smoke with Dave Chappelle, the nigga think I laced them. Knew it was the pack.
I mean, Dave Chappelle probably had a reason to think that, but I like that Tetris bar.
Now I ain't gon' say that, now I ain't gon' do that. But the bitch you wet, boot her muffin top blue back. Set with thoughts like a toad on a sound. Try to put my finger in her like a rotary phone. If I take her from a spin, she will never come home.
The rotary phone line is fire. And then the next line, play right into it, take her for a spin a rotary phone. She won't call home. That's hard.
Put her hand behind her own head like karma. I'm totally fucking up.
Let's go. This is what I'm talking about with the over the top punching. Like the Karl Malone dunk. He putting y'all on game too. That's the signature move.
Step to the side like Iverson cross Jordan.
Like
Give me
that.
my portion or in with extortion. Might stab a nigga if you come between my swordfish. Put the squeeze on you like a corset. Now in my final friend yet, so watch me metamorphic. Spitting on forces, kids gotta eat. Just bought a drill from Sears and some patio seats.
Yo, Sears gotta be a drug front, cause how are they still in business?
The kids gotta eat.
I ain't even gonna lie, he kinda on one on this album. Rap-wise, this is his best song to me. His flow is pretty straightforward from start to finish, but some of these punches, dog. The rotary phone bar was crazy. The Karl Malone bar was crazy. I like when he talking about when his homie got out of jail, LeBron was playing the Mavericks. And then you could take the same thing I was saying about how these beats, while they aren't abrasive, it's still a unique sound. I will say the only drawback from this one is I've heard this sample before on a really similar beat, but Quelle Chris did flip this in a really different way than Alchemist flipped it. Alchemist kind of left the sample untouched, and then Quelle Chris has some bright chimes in the background. Sound like he sped up the sample a bit too. Also, the only true negative of this song, I really did not like how it was mixed. I know dorks be trying to bully people out of complaining about mixing, and then there's always the person who's like, he meant to do that, but I mean, if you can't hear the song well, you can't hear the song well. It is what it is, but still a pretty fire song. This is Y.B.P with Bruiser Wolf.
When we change the channel with the plies, wet clothes on the porch, we ain't have a dry. Spending food stamps, wait till you leave the stove. Too many in the bed, had to sleep on the floor. Cause my cousin always pee, getting whipped in the morning. Every night, can't sleep, got me tossing and turning late.
Bro, how does whooping your kid for peeing in the bed, how does that help? I know black mamas be doing their best, but some stuff we just gotta think through, dog.
Got my ass beat, I ain't even do nothing. Seen her crying in the kitchen and I don't know why. Call my aunt smoking crack and she got a black eye. Living on focus hope and we trying to get by. Sipping only go to church when someone die. Kids raising kids, all trying to be grown.
That's a fire verse. The gritty imagery of just everything wrong with his upbringing, the poverty, the addiction, the descriptiveness that he went into those. And it sounds wild because lyrically that verse is pretty dark, but the upbeat tempo that he's rapping with and the upbeat beat is a huge contrast for what he's actually saying.
Detroit City, that's where I live. Feels like poetic justice, you get killed at the drive-in. Who gon' fight you
Yo, Bruiser Wolf is a tough listen, dog. I don't really see what y'all like about this. He sound like a black Weird Al Yankovic. No, it sound like if Curtis Blow did comedy.
Wanna run like Barry, shoot like Zeke, but in the hood with a 9 on me like Rodney Pete. Motor City, the Motown, the Fab Five, police violence, that's how Malice Green died. Hey, they wanna be us when they grown, but ask them why. Be out like Butch Jones.
He actually punching, but I just can't wrap my mind around why he rap like this.
It's hard to fit in the murder mitten like O.J.
That's so fire. That's fire. Hey, dog, if you give this man a regular rap flow, if you make Bruiser Wolf not Wolf, this dude punching be so great. The hard to fit in the murder mitten like O.J. Simpson. How they call Detroit the mitten. Come on, man. And hard to fit in. I'm sure it was hard for him to fit in if he talking anything like this in regular life.
Stuck in the middle between Blade and Dilla. Surrounded by killers, couldn't see the big picture from a bird's eye view. We ain't had no clue. Didn't know what was true, had nothing to lose. Home where the heart is, but where's the love? Feeling lost in the world, they don't care about us.
Yeah, elephant in the room, dog. I can't get behind Bruiser Wolf. That dude rap like he wearing a top hat. If y'all told me bro was a magician and part of his gimmick was that he rapped, I would believe you. I feel like this is how rap would have sounded if they rapped in the civil rights era. I don't see it, dog. His punching is good, though. Danny Brown was fire, especially in that first verse. Third verse was a little unnecessary to me because I don't think it added too much and it wasn't as vivid as his first verse. And even some of the lines weren't as captivating as some of the lines if you take away the flow that Bruiser Wolf had. Love the contrast between the gritty imagery that Danny Brown was getting to in his verse and how up-tempo this beat was. I do like the beat. I like that vocal sample. It's not a bad song. I would consider Bruiser Wolf's verse to be bad because, like, it's not a good flow. And flow is a really big part of the song. It is what it is, but, like, no Bruiser Wolf fan should be surprised that someone doesn't like Bruiser Wolf. Y'all got to take this on the chin. Y'all not playing Bruiser Wolf in public. Be real. Solid, but still my least favorite song on here. This is Jenn's Terrific Vacation with Cass Overall.
Who's that peeping in my window? I don't really know what they're here for.
I like that. Hey, I like when rap interpolates and samples other rap as long as it's not biting. Drake. Well, that's the interpolation of Travis Scott's 5% Tint, because that opening chord from this beat is the same chord on that song. And then the Who's That Creeping in My Window was part of the chorus from 5% Tint.
On the corner just for the Starbucks. I was just looking for a combo. Right there used to be a crack house. Now it's an organic garden.
That's how that gentrification is.
White folks coming at the blue, they done tore that down and made that to a Whole Foods. Landlords looking for a payday. Numbers when the scooters where we used to
So talk about these murals they be making. You know, as someone who lives in Atlanta, I really feel these bars. I like this chorus too.
Damn, they made that a dog park house, so put you right there like Walmart. I used to watch when them park cars, now it's just white girls swinging out white cloud. Turn the street, built new condos, talk about 3 G's for a 2-bedroom.
Tall.
Better check my head soon, about to have a nigga out here with a little screw.
Yo, this beat is so fire. It's so much going on with it, but you get it in portions. Once again, they're using drums that aren't typical for a hip hop song, but it's this drum feel, and it's so busy that they're taking parts where they're cutting out the keys, and that drum pattern is like taking the place of the melody, like what you just heard. Nah, that's sick. They had 808s under the beat the whole time. Hey, that song is it. That's the one, dog. That's the best song on the album. Rapping, chef's kiss, dog. You hear plenty of rappers rapping about gentrification, and I wouldn't guess that Danny Brown was gonna be the rapper to put his creative spin on it. But he's giving so much detail that it's like pushing absurdity, getting all the markers of gentrification, the White Claws, the Starbuckses, the Whole Foods. Only thing he ain't touch is when you see an area that used to have graffiti on it, and now it got like a mural that they paid for, it's a wrap for all the black folks who live there, dog. Go ahead and find another apartment. But yeah, the imagery was insane, that beat was insane. Casa overall on the drums went stupid. And the drums alone probably could have carried the song, but then the solo at the end was OD. They had 808 bass line under the drums. And then you got this piano chord that's borrowed from or uses the same sample as 5% Tint. This other like lower register synths. You got different sounds coming in and out. I mean, this song was perfect, dog. It's also brilliant sequencing, putting this track right behind Young Black and Poor. Those are the two most vivid tracks on here so far. And for the content to be polar opposite, that's tough. This is Down With It.
What the fuck I'm supposed to do now? All alone, now I'm feeling like a clown. Should've listened to my homie when he told me slow down. Caught up in the moment, head was stuck in the clouds. Never would've thought it fuck up who I'm closest with. All my fault, for most of it. Trying to kill my pain, so I drink. Whoever would've thought it would end this way. I had a woman down with me, but to me, she was down to get me.
I don't really like this chorus.
Lost the only one that loved me, these hoes don't care. Got too confident, thought you ain't go nowhere. Now it's all over, can't stay sober. Deep in my depression, hoping I can get over.
Yeah, that guitar crying back there. I ain't a huge fan of this song. I absolutely love the content. I like getting this more vulnerable Danny Brown. I think he can offer a lot with this dejected delivery and self-reflection, I think it's just missing a lot. Now, Danny Brown's not the most lyrical when it comes to rhyme schemes anyway. He normally makes it up with his flows and the pockets he gets into, but I think this song was a little basic lyrically, even on his standards. It's cool that he pouring his heart out, but I still want the rapping to be good, and the rapping was just pretty basic, 1-syllable rhymes and 2-syllable rhymes, plus the flows where I won't call them basic, but I'll definitely call them straightforward. And while he was definitely giving vulnerability, I prefer for him to be more vivid. I think one of the big appeals of Danny Brown is he's getting to this bag where it's almost too much imagery and he's too descriptive, where the pain, the depression, the addiction just seeps through the song even if he doesn't explicitly say it. Take Downward Spiral, for example. But on this track, he's more straightforward, telling us about his pain, and I think it would be a little bit more interesting if he got a little more descriptive as opposed to just kind of telling us he's depressed and that he had a bad relationship. So in a track that has a mellow beat that I thought was a good beat with those synths and a mellow flow and a mellow delivery, I think there just needs to be a touch more. But honestly, that song, despite how emotional it was, still pretty boring to me. It's a Celibate with Mike.
If I knew you, I would send you to the stove. Pulled up in the post, playing Kenny Lattimore. It's the matador, metaphors, you're wrong like the letter for. But trying to sell that stepped on Macklemore. She's Shuttlesworth.
Selling at white. That's tough.
Used to call me Mr. Get what your money worth. She suck it in like pot belly. And really got an ass, but she top heavy.
Suck it in like pot belly. Let's go.
Hoes treat me like wormholes. Mouth like I pre-ordered it, I download. Clown knows that brown knows. If you ain't getting money, what the fuck is you around for?
The download is an entendre as well.
A bit, but I don't fuck around no more, I'm celibate. Had me trapped in that celibate. Locked up with some pimps, told me sell a bitch.
I like the 3 different flips on the word celibate, sell jail, sell a bit, sell S-E-L-L a bit, and then don't F around. That's tough. I like that chorus.
Out of place like carpet in the kitchen. I'm in something, ain't got no ignition. Get attention like 2 hoes kissing. With they lips poked out like what you talk about, Willis. Your feelings, 8-ball look like cricket.
Yo, why is he punching? I'm telling you, man, he one of the more underrated punchers. The mouth poked out. What you talking about, Willis? Come on, man, that's a bar.
A long way up and a short trip down.
That's a
I'm gonna let
fact.
you get your turn, but not right now.
You use the Stella shit. It's the difference from the truth and how they telling it.
That's a
This
fact.
one's I go for high, but I could sell a bit. If you spook and need a God, know where to sell is.
I like when you can tell that rappers were in a booth together when they made a song. So I like how Mike came in and he played off the Celibate motif in that chorus, and then his rhyme scheme matched the rhyme scheme of the chorus and how Danny Brown ended his verse.
I got a better grip on life, I peep is delicate. I went through deserts when the ice to find the messages. I had to pull a blessing out the sky, my empty is.
Mike's rhyme schemes right now are tough. He's using that Celibate at the end of the bar, but he's using the S sound and the like SH rhyme scheme as an internal rhyme.
I keep the premises alive and believe the sentences I scribe. Niggas fetish shit. We gonna have to check these niggas' lines, niggas' sentiments. When we talking Benjis and Divide, feeling separate. I got something.
In a way, he switched rhyme scheme so smooth because he kept a syllable from the last rhyme scheme. Come on, man. Mike Penn this year, dude having a year.
Never quit. I just be adventurous with minds. Need the pennies quick. Niggas still invested in the bribe and the friendliness. Only one to question me was God and the Federate.
This blow
I
is
be
fire,
saying
too.
less like I forgot. Fuck your regiment. I won't take a rest so niggas pop. There's no resemblance cause niggas play pretend for different sides.
Every time I hear Mike rap, bro, I be feeling bad because I know I should have reviewed it by now. Dude having a year, bro. I know it's only one other feature on this album, but hypothetically, if you threw a whole bunch of other dudes on this project, Mike would have had the best verse, man. He went off. From a technical rapping perspective, everything he did was sick. He only had like 2 different rhyme schemes. He took that first rhyme scheme like 12 bars or so, and then when he finally switched it, his delivery got more passionate. Yeah, I think he left Earth with his verse, and I think he clearly had the best verse on this song, which is saying a lot because Danny Brown got busy too. This is some of the best punching he's had on this album, and his flows were pretty tough here too. His 2 verses was kind of the opposite of Down With It, where in Down With It, I think his dejected flow took away from the song a little bit and made it less interesting. He had a mellow flow here too, but that just drew more attention to the actual bars, which stood front and center right here. I like these video game like synths that form the beat here. So 6 beat, 3 sick verses. The highlight of them being Mike's verse. One of the better songs on the album, probably top 2-ish, 3-ish. This is Shakedown.
You ain't fucking with these clowns, right? How you like me now? Gotta boss up and shake down. Get your head up the clouds, gotta go and get it now. Gotta boss up and shake down.
Bro, I was not expecting this from an album. This is an R&B beat, essentially. Off the top of my head, I can't remember Danny Brown rapping on a more polished beat than this, but it sounds good.
Never hold no phone on myself and point a loaded gun, no flash, no stacks. Cool with that. Used to catch the Buster 12 ass crack with the pack. Had me sitting to the side, couldn't even lean back. Now the only track I know is getting done with the Mac.
Whenever he get into rapping about his past on this album, it's been so vivid. I just like the imagery of those running drug bars right there.
Who let your ass record your engineer as a troll? I done rose up the hole under that light pole. Now I pose wearing clothes, shit you don't even know. Say she wanted everything until I took that loss. But cheaters never win, is what some might say. I threw the whole game, in the end got paid. Had to cover the spread, cold side of the bed. Never miss nobody when you...
That cover the spread line is tough. It's a double entendre because it referred to the line before and the line after it. So covering the spread as a gambling bet and flip, and then cover the spread, a bad spread, the bed's empty because she's not in it. That's tough.
Head fed up with all the extra shit I just shut down. By myself looking stupid, what I'm supposed to do now.
I ain't know what to expect, but if I had to guess, it would not have been that. This song's pretty tough. Normally when rappers are known for one thing, they start straying away from it a lot, especially when they go in the opposite direction on where the rest of their projects went. It normally don't come off good. And while Danny Brown doesn't have one sound, if he's known for anything, it's for being really abrasive and really off the wall. This is a beat that could have easily played on the radio, and while I think some people ain't gonna like it because it's not what they expected, you just take it at face value. This is a sick beat. I'm glad Kalen Ellis finally got a look. He was pretty much unknown until he did a project with Lupe Fiasco, I guess like 3 years ago. With those super watery keys, the drums sounded good. A little jazzy feel to it too, but then the beat was also textured to the point where it didn't sound simple or basic. I'm feeling the verses from Danny Brown, especially the first one, where the flows, even though they were soft and smooth, he got in some really dope pockets. Second verse, I didn't like how it started off as much, but by the time he got into that cover the spread line, I think that line is super witty. The only negative is the reason I said that I didn't like how it started. I didn't love that opening flow as much as I love the flows on the first verse and how the second verse ended, but I think it definitely picked up. But yeah, that's a tough song. This is Hanami.
They say age catching up, so I'm running from death. I done walked through the fire, tripping on heaven steps. Gotta keep shit moving, time won't stand still. Moving on with my life, can't cry in the milk spill. Rap a young man game and you missed your mark. Probably never win a Grammy or a chart on the charts. Should I still keep going?
I mean, he know this. What was gonna win a Grammy? They was gonna let XXX win a Grammy? Have you heard that album? Some voters would be terrified if they heard that. Atrocity Exhibition was gonna win, but you know, I like the self-awareness.
Can't have writer's block, maybe out on the block. Didn't sign up for this, it's like I'm punching the clock. Even with all the stress, a nigga still feel blessed. Could've ended right there on them Claremont steps. Even on me taking penitentiary chances. Don't wanna do it, but they kids need Pampers. So what's the answer first when I'm dead in the hearse? You done read between the lines, see the pain and the hurt. All the trauma I endured, drugs and drink was the cure. Had to send to make ends, but my soul was pure.
Come on, man. This is the most clear-headed Danny Brown has ever been in his career. It sounds good. I'll get into it a little bit. He does take away an element that makes him special when he gets in his bag. But come on, bro. Even when he's not overly emotive, you can still feel passion.
Time wait for no man, so you can't waste time. Can't get time back. Time at the time.
Another song that's abnormally polished for Danny Brown, but executed almost to perfection, man. The song's almost a mirror image of Quaranta, where there's heavy emphasis on self-reflection. There's undertones of him talking about his mortality, and this was a little bit less about him dying, but the fact that he feels like there's an end date on his career. Not that anybody actually retires from rap, so you're good on that front, trust me. But for a rapper that really feels like an open book because he will tell you every flaw he got, it still feel like a different side of Danny Brown that we haven't heard before. Like Shakedown, this is one of the more polished beats he's been on, but it's still interesting with the level of texture to it. Dope song overall. Let's close this thing out with Bass Jam.
Remember back when it was hard for me to sleep? Mama played them old school jams on repeat. Cleaning up the house, Mary J on cassette.
Smoking on the J-Sos on the TV set.
I'm not a fan of
Running
this
home
rapping.
from school, loose ends on blast. Tying up loose ends, running low on cash.
It's one syllable
I took on the
rapping.
week.
Hey man, we hold everybody to the same scale, dog. Can't get away with no one syllable rapping on this channel, dog. The spades get identified. We call them like it is.
Play another song, let the music talk for us. Have a shedding tears, so we talk through the chorus. Hold up, that's my shit.
That's a good line.
Play it one more again. Play it
I
one
prefer
more
if
again.
it wasn't one syllable
That's my
rapping.
shit. Play it one more again. Play it one more again. Hold up. Mama played them classic tunes right on the station. Hiding
Back
from
to
the
two
beat,
syllable
the
rapping.
song never ends.
It's less
It
bad.
don't never matter till we play it again. In the minivan with Granny, about to do us some shopping. Johnny Kemp just got paid, got that whole car rocking.
Conceptually, everything here is right. It's pretty creative what he went for here, where he used the music he was listening to tie bone this album. Two really big themes from here were his rough upbringing and then how music changed his life. And so he was using different music that he listened to at different parts of his life. It's like a lens of what he was dealing with at the time. The rapping was just really boring and the beat was really boring. Like if there wasn't no beat here, this joint would sound like an audiobook. The basic flows and the basic rapping, I can't do, even more so with how creative that Danny Brown can get with some of these flows. And while aesthetically I like when he gets in that dejected bag, it don't work when the beat is kind of bare too and the rapping ain't nothing special. Conceptually, it ties up the album perfectly. I just don't like it as a standalone song. But don't get it twisted though, it's a fire album. I said I didn't know what to expect coming in this album. I think I undersold it because the little I did expect, this was not it. We get a really introspective album, and the way that Danny Brown highlights his introspection is with this dejected flow that he uses on several songs throughout here, probably like half the album, and then beats that aren't nearly as abrasive as any other album he's had. Maybe on like Hybrid, those beats were a little bit more typical for what the underground sound sounded like at that point in time. This might be his most accessible album, and he still was able to push the envelope in a variety of different ways. One, rap-wise, when he got into those dejected, more laid-back flows, he was able to highlight a lot of the cool things that he was doing lyrically. One, with the storytelling, especially on songs like Jenn's Terrific Vacation and Y.B.P. You were getting really gritty imagery, and it was from the perspective of Danny in this current, more clear-headed state. Then you still get some of Danny Brown's more signature, energetic deliveries like on the song Tantor, even though it's not nearly as in your face as he typically is. But then this album never got too serious because the humor and wit that we got from Danny Brown, I think that's one thing that's a staple from him that didn't diminish from any of his past albums to this one. And then on the production side, even though that these beats were really tame compared to his joints from earlier this year, his last project, there were still some really unique sounds here. The mix of drums with samples on the first like 3 or 4 tracks was something that you don't typically get from a hip-hop song. You got several really creative samples, and even the more polished songs like Shakedown and Hanami, the execution was so dope, it made it enjoyable. Now, even though I do like this direction that Danny Brown went with this album, it doesn't come without flaws. One, the pacing of this album is pretty slow. I'm perfectly fine this album doesn't sound like a Tri-City Exhibition, but there's something to be said about the peaks and valleys that album had and being caught off guard by some of the beats. Joints like that is a roller coaster, and this is a roller coaster. It's like Goofy's Barn House. Like, the album had one gear, and towards the end of the album where you get to the most laid back songs, it becomes a drag by the time you get to bass jam. And then while there was a lot of great rapping here, you do have some songs where the rapping was stripped too far down in order for him to get really emotional. Bass Jam, biggest example of that, and then Down With It as well. But overall, I think there was a lot of musical genius on display here. I think we got a completely different Danny Brown that was, for the most part, executed really well. Can't leave out the Sick Mike feature. I can do without the Bruiser Wolf one, but Mike is on one this year. Danny Brown is on one this year. This is a dope project.